to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range three.
May is here. Summer is near. CEO Sports Talk continues to appear. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 64, the episode of the year. We look forward to this all year. It is grading all 32 first round draft picks, and we'll give you some late round steals as well. We loved doing this last year in 2021, and we're back in 2022. Oliver, how was this draft?
Man, it was definitely an interesting one. We saw some unexpected things, including the fall of Malik Willis.
True.
We had in our mock drafts going number 2 overall. Yeah. So a lot of surprises. Number 1 overall pick was an uncertainty, and it was a cool draft. I mean, nothing special, but it was a good one.
Yeah, some 2 big trades happened as well on Thursday night, so we'll get into those. But let's get it started. And before we start, grading mock draft picks are really the dumbest thing ever, because it's a ton of fans like us that have really never met these players, don't know anything about these teams in the front office, what's going on. So, let's be real. The teams are the ones that know the best. So it's kind of stupid, but it's fun.
Yeah, sure is. And but we just don't know how they're going to pan out, but this is our best guess.
All right. With the first pick of the entire draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had the first pick last year, took Travon Walker. An edge from Georgia, the national champions, one of the best defenses in college football we've ever seen. A member of that defense goes first. And, the Jags had the first pick last year. They had it again. They went with Walker. Initial thoughts, I'll give my grade and Oliver will give this pick. This was a surprise to me. It's the first time in a long time, the first overall pick of the draft was actually a surprise. And that's kind of nice, actually. Kyler Murray is a little surprised by, but this is an actual wow. And I'm gonna go with a C for this. I think Travon Walker, I don't know if he's necessarily gonna improve this Jaguars team so much where they're a playoff team next year. So I'm going with a C. I think that he's an exceptional prospect. If you watch this guy's highlights on YouTube, he has an athletic ability, a gift that no edges we've seen have had recently, even more athletic than Myles Garrett, in my opinion. But he lacked in the sacks last year. Some would say wasn't even the best player on that defense, on that D line. But we'll see. I think him and Josh Allen will be a really good duo in Jacksonville. So it's not like an F. I'm switching. I got him a C+.
All right. Yeah, I'm going with the C for Travon Walker. It's an interesting pick because obviously the upside is unbelievable for Travon, but they didn't go best player available. And at number 1 pick, that needs to be what you do. And I understand this isn't a very top-heavy class, but Aiden Hutchinson has got to be the pick here if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they went with a guy who has more upside than Aiden Hutchinson, which and you take swing on upside guys later, but if you're number 1 pick, you got to take a surefire guy. And Travon Walker is not that because he lacked in production this year at Georgia. Like you said, that defensive line was crazy good. Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, and Travon Walker all on one D line is just ridiculous. All 3 were first-round picks. And then that front 7 is crazy too, with Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean behind them. That Georgia defense is crazy. We'll get into that later because they, I think, 5 first-round picks on that defense alone.
Yeah.
And so, I give it a C, but, I don't want to be called a coward when he wins defensive rookie of the year or whatever, but
right.
It's just a risky pick, and I don't think that's what you should do when you're number 1, when you have the number 1 overall pick, and especially when you need a lot of help when you're the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, it's nothing really against Travon, to be honest. I think it's more just the first overall pick for the Jaguars. It's a little bit risky. I don't know. They could have traded down even. I don't know. But this guy absolutely killed it at the NFL Combine. He ran a 4.51. He's an athletic freak. This guy easily could be the best player in this draft. So I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know if he's necessarily going to help them win games right away. But I don't know. I got it as C+.
Yeah, and then second pick, the Detroit Lions select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end from Michigan. I have this pick as an A. You have the guy who I believe should have gone number 1, Faldio at number 2. He's a hometown kid, born and raised in Michigan. Obviously broke the Michigan sacks record last year, was a Heisman finalist, all around great player, very high floor. You know, he's going to be an impact player day one. And it's just a great pick for the Lions. And I just think it fits super well. And he going to provide an instant boost to that Detroit defense, who I think had a great draft.
Solid pick by the Lions. I got it as an A as well. Not an A plus, you know, I mean, this guy isn't Mozart, but it's an A. This was the no-brainer. I mean, you got to pick him if he's available at that point, and he absolutely was. It was a steal and a half by the Lions. He's staying in Michigan. We've talked about Aiden a lot on the show, but he's an extremely established player. You know, he's not very risky to take. He's on the older side. He's experienced. I think it's just a really solid pick by the Lions here. He's going to immediately make an impact there on the defense. He doesn't have that much learning to do. Dan Campbell, a defensive-minded coach, will help him out a ton. And he certainly would have been a number one pick if the Lions had the first pick. He was their top guy. So this was a no-brainer for them, which makes it an A in my opinion. So good pick for the Lions. Aiden Hutchinson helping out a great team with a great QB and a franchise QB in Jared Goff. And did the Lions even take a QB this draft?
No.
I thought they were going to take one late. Wow. Surprising. Maybe they should have taken like Chase Garbers to get a little Cal in there.
Yeah.
All right. So at 3, we had our first big surprise, Derek Stingley, cornerback from LSU. And I know, Oliver, this was very shocking. I mean, you had Sauce. I even texted you like a few hours before, Sauce or Derek, because I saw there was a shot Derek would go to the Texans. And I actually don't even hate it as much as some will say. I got it a B+. I think that Derek Stingley played at LSU, and this may have been a slight surprise to a lot of people, but, Lovie Smith, he knows talent when he sees it. This guy has speed. He has a nose for the football, kind of like Gary Payton has a nose for the basketball. He's just a scrappy guy. And although he's a slightly less safe of a pick than Sauce, I think he has a really good shot in being a future interception leader in the NFL and being a solid corner in Houston for years to come.
Yeah. And we're in sync right now, man. I also got it as a B+. And I think, Sauce was personally my number one corner, but Stingley was not far behind. And you saw the freshman year he had at LSU.
Right.
The kid was dominant and he slowed down. And the reason for that, people were saying, was lack of effort and stuff like that. But when he really turns it on, man, he's an unstoppable guy and really just locks down a half of the field. And that's something these Texans really needed, was secondary help. Overall in secondary too, with Justin Reed leaving for the Chiefs, they need a lockdown corner, and that's what Derek Stingley is going to give them. So they've had their eye on Derek Stingley this whole draft, and by taking him at 3, it suggests to me that he wouldn't have been available at 13, which is a lot of people thought he would. So they pounced on him early. They obviously wanted him, and I think it's a good pick. Not the best player available, obviously, but it's a great pick for what they need. And I have a B+ as well.
Yeah. And I mean, this was a solid pick, as you said. And I think a lot of people actually had him as their corner 1. And due to the fact that Stingley's been going against better receivers than Sauce. I mean, Stingley's been going against Alabama receivers for 3 years now. You know what I mean? And Alabama's had receiver after receiver come out of there. And in the SEC in general, those Florida guys, Kadarius Toney, guys like that, he's been going against for years. Sauce hasn't really been going against the same competition. He played Notre Dame last year and he played Alabama last year. Did a phenomenal job with both, but not as consistently as been going against those guys as Derek has. So maybe that was part of the reason as well.
Right. And then speaking of Sauce, at number 4, New York Jets select Ahmad Sauce Gardner from the University of Cincinnati, a cornerback. And I have this as an A. I really like this pick. I really like Sauce. I'm sad he has to go to the Jets, a division rival of mine, because I really like this prospect, one of my favorite. There's a lot of knocks on him about the competition he's faced, but the numbers don't lie, man. Not letting up a touchdown and having be your most yards against you being 13 yards is just insane, no matter what competition you're playing. I mean, these are D1 receivers you're playing against. So, he's just phenomenal. He has a certain, type of swagger he carries along with him with the chain. He's just a fun player. He brings a lot to the city in New York. I love the pick at number 4. I give it an A.
I give it an A-. Sauce is the next Jalen Ramsey IMO. This guy's pro ready already. Unlike Derek, who I think is going to be a star, I think Sauce already is capable of being a star. As you already touched on, did not allow a single touchdown reception on 138 career targets. I mean, this guy is a ball hawk. He's the 2021 American Conference Player of the Year, and big Sauce Gardner guy. A lot of people doubted that he wouldn't do well against Alabama after he faced, American conference competition all year, and he locked up Alabama just as well. So, I mean, this guy's just a baller. He's a faster version of Richard Sherman, in my opinion. We saw Darrelle Revis ball out in New York for years. I think Sauce could do the exact same thing. And he has that Jalen Ramsey swagger on him. As you said, he has the chain. He'll talk some on you. You know what I mean? He ran a 4.41. He's 6'3", 193. I like the taller, skinnier corners, honestly. I think this guy's just a baller. And Sauce Gardner is a name to come. The Player of the Year possibly next year. Mark my words, boys. But yeah, Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley. No awful picks so far. And
no, I think there wasn't any awful picks pretty much in this whole top 10. It's I mean, you're going to see my grades. I'm getting a lot of high ones.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And at 5, I'm keeping it up. I love this Kayvon Thibodeau pick. I mean, we weren't sure on Kayvon Thibodeau, but I think he fits in with this New York Giants team really well. I mean, this guy, let's be real. We were a little worried, he's not the safest pick right now but this guy's upside is absolutely insane. He's a freak of nature. I mean, 256, 6'4", so powerful. And he ran a 4.58. I mean, this guy has been a projected top pick since he was a freshman in college. I mean, even senior in high school. Thibodeau was a 5-star number 1 recruit in this class. Him and Leonard Williams will ball out in New York, in my opinion. And another good pick by the Giants. I mean, I think you're going to touch on it a bit more here, but I like this as an A, actually.
I got this as an A+.
Wow.
My first A+. And I think for Kayvon Thibodeau, a guy who's projected to go number 1, if you told me a year ago that Kayvon Thibodeau didn't go number 1, I wouldn't believe you, because this guy was just surefire number 1 pick. And to follow you at 5, I understand the production wasn't there at Oregon, but the athletic traits this guy has, just the potential he's shown as a pass rusher is just off the charts. And so to follow him at 5, you have 2 top 7 picks, you're the Giants. You can take a swing on a really high upside guy like Kayvon Thibodeau, who's not going to be terrible at all. I don't think he's going to be bad at all. So it's not that much of a risk, in my opinion, and it's just so much potential. So I think it's a great pick by the Giants, who absolutely nailed this draft and this first round.
Yeah. I love his personality too. He also has that kind of flashy personality.
Yeah.
I love him celebrating with the kid after he announced.
Yeah, seems like a super fun guy.
Yeah, and he's an interesting guy too. He launched his own cryptocurrency. I mean, this guy's a smart guy. New York, big market. I think he'll like it there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is me next. Ikem Ekwonu falls to the Panthers at 6. Who I personally had as my number 1 tackle. And yeah, I give this an A. I thought it was a good place to take a tackle, and they needed one. And yeah, I mean, I don't have much input on this. I think it's just a great player to fall to at 6 and exactly what they wanted. It was a spot they could have taken a quarterback, but I don't blame them for not taking quarterback, especially with the way all these teams viewed the quarterbacks this year and how all of them fell besides Kenny Pickett. And by the way, Kenny Pickett is not 60 picks better than those other guys, by the way. So that was ridiculous. But yeah, Ike Ekwonu, great player, and it's going to be a staple at Panthers offensive line. So I give it an A.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Neal was looked on as the best tackle in this draft. And as time went on, Ikem Ekwonu kind of became the best in this draft, I feel like, tackle. This guy, 328 pounds, still ran a sub-5, 6'4", which is a little short for a tackle, but he's bigger than he seems because, say it with me, Oliver, hands of a heavyweight. He has the feet of a lightweight, though. I mean, this guy can move, threads the holes, balled out at NC State in the ACC for years. I mean, I love this guy to help block for Christian McCaffrey. Maybe he can stay healthy. And I like this as an A+. I love this pick for Ikem Ekwonu. Only problem, it doesn't really have a quarterback to protect, but that's not his fault. Great job. I mean, I think this is just a really solid pick. It's the best player available, and they took him. I mean, he fell to 6. You got to take him. Shades of Rashawn Slater, steal-wise. 2 really good tackles. 3 tackles went top 10 here. So, yeah, I love this pick. A+. Yep. And then at 7, we have Evan Neal, another tackle. We just talked about him. And I do like this pick by the Giants. I have it at a B+. Only reason B+, I'm a little shaky on Neal sometimes. I personally think that him and Andrew Thomas, they're a solid little duo here. But I think Evan Neal sometimes struggles with the holds as well. 345. That's why I lean to Ika. But this is just, you need to pick him at this point. He's the best player available. You need your tackle off the Giants. You already got Kayvon. So you got Kayvon and Evan Neal in the top 10. Really solid. I got it to B. The duo will be solid in New York of Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal. So I like this pick. Oliver, what's your thoughts on it?
I love this pick, man. Again, another Giants A+ for me.
Wow.
That's 2 for me now. And I have, like I said, I like Icky a little more, but he's right behind him. And I think Evan Neal has potential to be the best player in this class. Now, I've said that about a lot of people, but he's just so athletic at his size that it's just ridiculous.
Yep.
And yeah, so the Giants nailed this draft to me, especially these first 2 picks. And yeah, to have Evan Neal fall to you at 7, to get 2 studs in Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeaux is just crazy to me. So great draft for the Giants, and Andrew Thomas, who played really well last year after a not great rookie year.
Yes.
That him and Evan Neal are going to be a great tackle duo for years to come, protecting Daniel Jones or whoever it may be down the line. And then next is Drake London, wide receiver from USC. I got this as a C+. Don't love the pick. I think in that offense, you already have a kind of a jump ball guy, tall wide receiver threat in Kyle Pitts, not wide receiver, tall threat in Kyle Pitts. Wide receiver was the need here. I mean, you had Auden Tate as your number 1 receiver going into the night, and you grab a receiver. So that's the reason why it's not lower. But Drake London was not my number 1 receiver. So I think Garrett Wilson should have been the pick here at 8, and it fits their offense more. Calvin Ridley-esque. Would be the Calvin Ridley replacement. And yeah, Drake London, great player, but a lot of these big guys don't always work out because they can't separate. And I don't know who's going to be throwing him the ball. It could be Desmond Ridder, could be Marcus Mariota, but I don't hate the pick. I just don't love it.
Drake London. I'm into this pick. I like it more than Oliver does. I think that Drake London, just like his USC alumni as well, Michael Pittman, kind of a jump ball. He's not a 4-3 receiver. He's a 4-5-5 guy, but he's a jump ball, gritty receiver. He'll go up there and make the catch. That's normally not your number 1 guy, but I still like him to fit in, win the system. Desmond Ridder to Drake London, maybe Marcus Mariota to Drake London, the new 1-2 punch. I think the Falcons will be better than some of the experts predict. And I am a big fan of this pick of Drake London. I'm going to give it an A-. He reminds me of Devontae Adams, who was a jump ball receiver. He's not the fastest guy out there. London offers, he has the body control that not everyone has, and he has the hands that, some of these other receivers struggle with. I'm not, as many people know, I'm not a big fan of the 4-3 receiver. I don't think they can stay healthy. I don't think that they have the best hands. John Ross, tell me how his career is doing, Oliver. Tell me how is it doing, Oliver?
Not great, but things will be different for Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, I doubt it. So yeah, Drake London, he led the Pac-12 in receptions, and I believe he led them in receiving yards in 2021. And I'm pretty sure he missed like half the season due to an ankle injury. So that's pretty impressive. 1 offensive player of the year. This guy's a baller. USC guy too. Everyone from USC becomes a baller. And I just think this was a solid pick for Drake London. Shout out to Drake, who had $1,000 on this pick. Fun fact about Drake London as well. He is my boy Sean Tinsley's favorite player. Sean Tinsley said on his Instagram story in like 8th grade, no, maybe it was 9th grade, remember the name Drake London, just got drafted. Also was on the USC basketball team. So a little double trouble there.
Yeah,
basketball and football.
He's a hooper for sure.
Yeah. And at 9, the Seahawks, this was an interesting pick because it felt like they could take any position really, as Oliver said, except safety, because that's the one position they actually have some guys at. But they went with Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State, another specimen, 6'5", 311. And I'm a pretty big fan of this. I got it at a B+. I think it was a solid pick, really, really good blocker. He can pull, I think Cross will need some work in Seattle's run first offense. That's always hard for a rookie. It's easier to pass block, I would say. But I think he can get it. 21 years old only, kind of young for a rookie, but I think this guy, I mean, it was the must pick. At that point, that was the perfect pick. I think we all kind of knew they're taking Charles Cross, so that's why it's a B. He has some work to do, but it was definitely the right pick.
Right. And I think Charles Cross was a guy that some people thought could go at 6 to the Panthers if Neal and Ekwonu got picking before then. And yeah, he's a great player. A lot of great tackles in this class. Like you said, struggles in the run game, but great pass protector at Mississippi State.
And the air raid offense, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, a lot of places they could have gone, but I think offensive line should have been the biggest priority. Corner could have been addressed as well. I think safety and running back were the two best positions going to the draft, and they took running back second round. Kenneth Walker, great player, but definitely wasn't the pick to be made there. But that's an interesting backfield now with Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, and Kenneth Walker. That's a scary 1-2-3 punch, especially with the way Rashad Penny emerged last year. But that's besides the point. With Charles Cross, hopefully he can be the one paving those big holes for those guys.
Yeah, first Mississippi State offensive lineman drafted since Derek Sherrod in 2011. So shout out Charles Cross representing the cowbell people of Mississippi State.
Facts. And then the New York Jets take Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State, at number 10. And this is another A for me. I mean, best receiver in the class, falls to you at 10.
Funny joke.
You the type to say Drake London's better. Falls to you at 10. You already picked a guy on the defensive side of the ball in Sauce Gardner. Now you get Zach Wilson, that Wilson to Wilson connection, and give him a number one threat to go along with a pretty young wide receiver core, including Denzel Mims and guys like that. So I like this pick a lot. It's going to be great for New York. And yeah, A for me.
Solid pick here by the New York Jets. I got it at a B. I mean, Garrett Wilson, 4.38. That's some speed right there. However, I smell an injury. I mean, you can't be running a 4.38 and not be getting injured in the NFL these days. Unreal hands, though. I mean, it was a solid pick. I'm more of an Olave guy. I'm more of even the Penn State cat Dobson guy over Wilson. But I think Garrett Wilson, great speed, stickiest hands out there by far. Best hands in the draft. Don't get me wrong. Great body control, hovers all over the ball. Surrounding himself with a really young gunslinger in Zach Wilson. They're going to be fun to watch if he can stay healthy. And this was definitely the right pick for the Jets. They needed a good receiver, especially after they had already gone with a solid pick earlier at Sauce Gardner. So it's definitely, I'm switching to a B+, actually. It's a good pick. Just not my favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
At 11, I know a lot of people weren't fans of this pick, but this was originally the Washington Commanders, and the New Orleans Saints traded up to go grab Chris Olave, another wide receiver from Ohio State, who this guy also runs a really fast one at 4.39. This is an interesting one. I think it's a B, not quite as good of a pick. And it's not because I don't like Olave. I mean, I like Olave just as much, if not more, than Garrett Wilson. I just don't know if I necessarily like the move of trading up for the New Orleans Saints to go grab him. I mean, Olave was a veteran. Obviously, the Saints like their wide receivers from Ohio State, and we'll see how Jameis Winston can get him. He's a deep ball passer. He's been criticized, or the Saints have been criticized a lot, though, for this trade up. So we'll see. I mean, Oliver, what's your thoughts? I got a B+, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between C+ and B-. I'll go C+. I like Olave. I wanted, early in the draft process, I wanted him on the Pats. But I just think it's a bit early for a guy like Olave, who's kind of slipping down draft boards a little bit. Thought he would be available in the 20s. Saw him mocked to the Packers a lot. So to trade up for a guy like that, especially in a receiver class where you could sit back and wait for a guy to fall to you, such as Jameson Williams, who might have been available, because who knows if the Lions would wanted Olave at 12. I mean, you'll never know. But yes, it seems a bit early for Olave, but he's still gonna be a magnificent player. He's just a smooth guy, smooth route runner, good hands, faster than we thought. Prior to the combine. So yeah, great. It's a decent pick. I have a C+, could be B-, one of those two. And
he's Ohio State all-time leader in touchdowns too. I mean, it's pretty cool. But I just like my receivers has some meat on the bone, this guy's 6'1", 185. That's kind of skinny. along with Wilson, 6', 184. Like, come on, the Buckeyes got to feed their guys more. Drake London, 6'4, 219. That's the meat on the bone right there. I mean, I'm not one to talk, probably the lightest person on earth, but I mean, still, I mean, gotta get some meat on the bone for these receivers.
I guess some meat on his bone. And then at 12, the Detroit Lions select Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. I got this as an A minus. I like Jameson Williams, fastest guy in the draft, and
Wasn't
fastest
official,
guy,
wasn't okay.
not the fastest guy in the draft, but fastest like first round caliber wide receiver in the draft. Super fast, will blow you away with that speed. Coming off an ACL tear is a bit scary, but from what I've seen, he's rehabbing really well. I've seen some videos of lateral movement, which is promising, and I think he adds to a pretty scary young wide receiver core now. They signed DJ Chark in the offseason. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you add Jameson Williams to that. That's a good wide receiver room. And if Jared Goff can get the ball to them, man, they're going to make some noise. So I really like this pick from the Lions. Not the Lions, but the receivers. And
What do you have it at?
I said A minus.
A minus. Okay, got you. I'm not a big fan of this pick, frankly. I don't know if it was necessarily worth trading up to 20 spots, grab a guy in Jameson Williams, and I'll tell you guys why. So that's why I have it as C minus. So basically, Jameson Williams tore his ACL in the national championship. He didn't tear his ACL in preseason. He didn't tear his ACL midseason. He didn't even tear his ACL on Christmas. He tore it in January. This guy is not going to play half the season. If you guys want to hear anything about recovering from an ACL, one of my good friends, guest of the show, Johnny Macris, tore his ACL. The guy's still not back. I mean, it's been like 2 years. When you tear your ACL, it feels like there's just always a heavy, it just never feels the same. When you're running, there's always like a heavy weight there. It's hard to describe. Only people that tear their ACL can really relate to this, but it feels like there's always something there when you're running. He's not going to be the same. He's not going to be as explosive. I mean, it's awful to say, but he's not going to be as explosive as he was at Alabama when he led the SEC in receiving yards with 1,572 yards. Also, Jared Goff needed help, definitely needed a receiver, and I understand where they were going because there was a big drop off after Williams with receiver. So they kind of had to go with their guy. So that makes a bit of sense, but he's just missing a lot of next year. And honestly, I would have taken the Penn State guy over him easily if I was the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Or even Treylon Burks from Arkansas.
So what do you give it?
C minus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Am I up next?
I think so, yeah.
So at 13, the Philadelphia Eagles took Jordan Davis, and we must mention the Philadelphia Eagles also traded for A.J. Brown. So that was quite a shock.
Yeah, great trade by the Eagles to get A.J. Brown. That wide receiver room needed it, and yeah, great move by them. And
yeah, so actually this pick, I give it a B minus. Everyone loves this pick of Jordan Davis, sees it as the steal of the draft because he kind of fell. But what people don't realize is when a player like Jordan Davis that's very hyped up from start falls like this, there's a reason for that. These NFL teams know more than all of us about this. There's a reason this guy fell. I mean, although he's big,
he wasn't projected to go top 10 though. It's not like
yes, but there's a reason that that Trayvon Walker is looked on higher than Jordan Davis is my point. Even though that Jordan Davis is a bigger guy, 6'6", 341. I mean, that's hard to not take. Shocks you with that speed as a 4.78. I mean, being 6'6", 341, has insane size. Starting to really want to change my pick after looking at that. I'm actually going to give it a B. But the reason I still don't like it is he's just not really the most fundamentally sound pass rusher, obviously. And I don't know if the Eagles necessarily needed to go DT as well here. It may have been the best available position at the time, but they already do have a somewhat solid D-line. They got Fletcher Cox in the tackle. They also got Brandon Graham. Has a very heavy approach. Definitely not your classical pass rusher, though, Jordan Davis is.
Yeah. Jordan Davis, he'll plug up the middle, though. You're not running on Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
And Fletcher Cox and him become a great defensive tackle duo. But I got this as a B as well. It just wasn't their biggest need to me.
Right.
I think they could have gone a lot of other places. So I got a B, but Jordan Davis is a fantastic player. Like you said, super athletic for his size, super athletic for any size, but he happens to also be massive. Like the dude is massive.
Yeah.
It seems like a likable guy, always smiling too. Like I like big Jordan Davis, man. But I got as a B just because I feel like may have been a little early for him. I think you could have waited on it a little bit and got him at, you had multiple picks. So
Yeah, it's not really him. It's more just like the spot it was taken. The more I read about it, the more I think this is a solid pick. It's just a little early, and they maybe could have got him a little bit later.
yeah, for sure. Okay, then at 14, Kyle Hamilton. I'm gonna give this an A plus. This Kyle Hamilton fell because there seemed to be a lot of holes in his game that a lot of people weren't seeing. I mean, people saw the athleticism, they saw the playmaking ability, the ability to go hit people at the line of scrimmage, and all that is true. But he had a lot of holes in his game, wasn't great in coverage, took bad angles to the ball. There's a lot of things I was seeing that he didn't possess but he's still a great player. And to get him at 14 for a guy who's projected to maybe go top 3, so you get a lot of potential. Pair him with Marcus Williams in that secondary. That's a great pick, and Baltimore Ravens hit it out the park.
Yeah, this is an A for me. I think that Kyle Hamilton is a really solid pick. I think he's probably the best free safety we've seen in a while come out of the draft, in my opinion. Just has his nose for the ball. I mean, watch that interception he had at Florida State week 1 last year. The guy absolutely just finds the ball. I mean, he's just a ball hawk. He's like a center fielder. Only worry I have, but to the Ravens side of it, it's a perfect pick. I mean, he fell on a board. They went and got him at 14. It was a perfect pick for them. It's an A. I mean, it was perfect. I would have done the exact same thing if it was the Ravens. Only knock on Kyle, and I'm a Notre Dame guy, so I could say he's not 217. I mean, there's no way. This guy, I met him, very tall, very skinny. He's not 217. But so he could get injured maybe a little bit. He's not 217. He could get injured, medical reasons, but still 100% a great pick. A, as a nose for the ball. Trivia for you, Oliver. Who was the last Notre Dame defensive back taken in the first round? It was 2012.
Harrison Smith.
Good shout. That's correct.
Okay, nice.
You. All right, nice job. But yeah, great physicality. He can tackle. Great coverage. I love this pick for the Ravens. A for me.
Okay.
At 15, we got the Texans, Houston Texans. They got this from the Philadelphia Eagles. They took an offensive guard, our fourth offensive lineman, our first guard, though, I believe, going. It was Kenyon Green. And this guy's 6'4", 325, not the most athletic guy, pretty slow, 5'2", 5'2", Normally the guards are a bit faster than tackles, actually. But we'll see. I think he goes well to replace Laremy Tunsil. Obviously this guy's somewhat agile, but it's a B- to me. I just think that it was a solid pickup, but for Kenyon Green, I think that he could struggle a little bit at the start, especially he's going to be in a starting role right away. So it may be tough for the Texans, but I think this is ultimately a good long run pick. And it looks like they're sticking with Davis Mills for him to protect.
Yeah. And I made a little bit of like a draft board for each position. He was my third interior offensive lineman. So
yeah,
I think he could have gone other guys, but they filled the position in need. I'm not mad at it at all. It was their second pick. They got a guy they liked. Obviously, they know more than I do. Right. So yeah, I'll give it a B+.
Yeah, what we're saying literally means nothing because these guys are 10 times have more expertise than us, the guys in these NFL offenses.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun to grade these.
And next, 16, Washington Commanders take Jahan Dotson, wide receiver, Penn State. I've heard a lot of hate about this pick, and it's not good for good reason. I love Jahan Dotson. Yeah. I have this as a B+. I think he's just so fluid, insane hands, can go high point the ball. Not the biggest guy. I guess that's the knock on him. He's pretty small, but I don't care, man. This dude is fluid and he's fun to watch. He's like when I was watching tape on him in class and stuff like that, I was doing my little research. I mean, he blew me away. So I really like Jahan Dotson, and I think they could have gone a little later. That's why it's not an A, but still great player. Good pick.
Love this pick for the Commanders. As I already mentioned, I think Jahan Dotson is a better wide receiver personally than Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. I think he's my number 2 guy, honestly. And Jameson Williams, of course. So yeah, I love this pick. I know I sound hypocritical since he's a little guy himself, but I just think he's a perfect pick. Very fast cat, 4.43, big for the Commanders. Sam Howell's going to dot that guy up. Only knock on him, it sounds a little bit like Josh Dobson, who the Commanders took in the first round a few years back. So I'm going to be calling him Josh Dobson a lot and get that confused. But yeah, it reminds me of Tyler Lockett a lot. Kind of a slot guy, which is a little bit interesting. So yeah, it's an A- for me. Teams won't be able to double up Terry McLaurin anymore as well. You know what I'm saying? Because now they have a true slot receiver. So I'm loving that too. Terry McLaurin, Josh Dotson, not Dobson, little duo here. Because that was the whole issue of Terry McLaurin last year. I mean, he was their only guy.
Yeah, I really like this Jahan Dotson pick. Yeah. And I think I'm next. Yeah. Zion Johnson for the Chargers. Chargers hit another home run on offensive lineman back to back. Zion Johnson's a guy at Boston College who was there for 4 or 5 years. Experienced guy, was at the Senior Bowl this year, looked good. And I have this as a A-. I think it's another solid pick. And, it's nothing fancy. It's an offensive guard, but it's the right pick for the Chargers.
Agreed. Brian Balaga is not going to last forever there at guard. I think that is a great pick. Now you got a young cat in Rashawn Slater at the tackle spot, and you got Zion Johnson, young guy with great girth, intangibles, grit from Boston College. He went to BC. Of course, he's smart. Number 1 goal, protecting your young QB in Justin Herbert. So it's just a great pick in general, picking an offensive lineman. If you're the Chargers, I got it as an A. Zion Johnson, not the most sexy pick. I mean, I don't think Zion Johnson was a household name or still is a household name. However, even Rashawn Slater is more sexy than this. I think a lot of people are going to be happy. Offensive guards, you got to feel for them. I feel like tackles are always more hyped up than guards. Guards, they're always hated on. But yeah.
Facts, bro. These tackles usually end up moving to guard too.
Yeah, true. Oh, my turn. So Treylon Burks, the Tennessee Titans, traded away AJ Brown a few minutes before they took him. But I like this Treylon Burks take. I mean, as you guys know, I'm a sucker for those big receivers. This guy's 6'2", 224. Some shades of DK Metcalf, AJ Brown as well. Big guy. And he's very similar to Deebo Samuel, even bigger probably, where he's kind of a do-it-all guy. The Tennessee Titans are obviously high on him. They see what the Niners have been doing. And this guy with his size, physicality, he can do it all. And he ran a 4.55. I love it. Reminds me of DK Metcalf, to be frank with y'all. I think he has the star power to he will immediately be their number 1, I think, right? So looks like the Titans are going all in with Treylon Burks. We'll see if he has a QB to throw it to. So yeah, I like this as an A-. Treylon Burks, Arkansas cat, been going against SEC corners for the last 3 years as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I have this as a B. I mean, it's crazy thing about last year, we're talking about, duo of Julio Jones and AJ Brown. And by the time this pick was being taken, none of those guys were on the roster. And so the immediate need was wide receiver, and they filled it up with the best guy available in Treylon Burks. Saw him compared as a bigger Deebo Samuel, which I don't quite agree with. He doesn't have the same kind of explosiveness as Deebo.
I think it's more similar to DK Metcalf.
Yeah. But it's hard to be.
Even AJ Brown.
Yeah, I think AJ Brown would be a good comparison. So I think it's a guy you just plug in day 1, be your number 1 guy, and big target for Ryan Tannehill or maybe Malik Willis. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And last time an Arkansas receiver was drafted in the first round, I don't think you would notice. It was in 2005.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Matt Jones. Never heard of him, but shout out Matt Jones. All right, your turn.
Yeah, Trevor Penning, offensive tackle for Northern Iowa. Bro's a certified menace. He said he likes to legally assault people on the football field. Kids from Northern Iowa. He doesn't look athletic. He looks like a redneck white guy, but this man is uber athletic and fills a need after losing Teron Armstead to Miami. They get a guy who they can plug in at left tackle and be their new guy for years to come. And I like the pick. I don't love it though. It's all right. I got as a B-.
Yep, the Saints helping that offense out again. I actually don't hate it. I got it the B+. I think that Trevor Penning, for the Saints, first of all, it's definitely the right pick. I think they had to go offensive line. Their QB, it looks like Jameis Winston is going to be their guy. Obviously, towards ACL last year. So it's the right pick going O-line. But Trevor Penning himself, such an interesting pick. I got it at B+ because this guy's 6'7", 333, and runs a sub-5. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But we've seen highlights of him at the Senior Bowl getting absolutely crushed by D linemen. I mean, he did play at Northern Iowa after all. First Northern Iowa player ever drafted in the first round. So good for him. But I still like this pick. As you said, he's a very gritty dude. And he kind of reminds me of Caleb Vasca a lot. This guy just wants to has a nose for just aggression. He's a better version, but just wants to, block everyone and gets annoyed very easily. And as you said, he loves football because you can legally assault people. So that's a pretty good mindset to have as a lineman.
Yeah, I've seen the cringy comparisons all over recently, and I'm starting to see it too. I mean, Caleb Vasca is just really embodied in this guy. So,
yeah.
Shout out Trevor Penning.
And at 20, we had our first quarterback. And, man, I've been saying this is one of the interesting draft classes we've had because it's definitely not an offensive-heavy class. I mean, normally there's one quarterback that takes over college football in the season. We saw it with Joe Burrow. We saw it with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. We've seen it year after year. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. We've seen it years after years. But we did not see it in the 2021 season. The team that took over was a defensive team, and that's why this draft has been full of Georgia defenders. But we finally see it. Kenny Pickett, shades of the 2014 draft with, I think, second-round QBs are going to be the most successful. Shades of that Tim Tebow draft. We get Kenny Pickett, the 6'3", 219 QB, getting drafted at 20, staying in Pittsburgh. And, man, this is such an interesting one to guess because Kenny Pickett is by far the most pro-ready QB there is. But there's no ignoring the fact that his hands are small and that the Steelers could have probably helped out other positions at this point. Did they need to go with their QB? Is Kenny Pickett the franchise guy, or were they just taking him because no QBs have been taken? I mean, they have Mason Rudolph. They have Mitch Trubisky. So that's 3 QBs that aren't terrible right there. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if Kenny Pickett's the starter right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be Mitch at the gate. I have it as a C-. Not my best quarterback available. Yeah. Malik Willis is my number 1 guy. Malik Willis should have been the pick here if you want to take quarterback, but they don't do it and they take Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett will be a guy who, he'll be the starter and he'll be decent, but he'll never blow you away. He kind of reminds me of this year's Mac Jones, and I love Mac, but Mac's never going to be anything special. He's already a great player, but he's not going to be a guy who's a game changer. And that's kind of like what.
I don't know if the Steelers systems I guess Big Ben did it for years.
Yeah. So I just don't love the pick. I mean, they could have waited for quarterback 2 at this point. Like, quarterbacks were not flying off the board, I'll tell you that. So yeah, not my favorite pick, C-.
Yeah, out of the C+, I think that doesn't have the best arm strength as well. Yeah, but he is a confident pro style guy that's ready to go right now. So that's good.
Yeah, and then at 21, where my Patriots should have been picking, but we traded back per usual. And the Chiefs go ahead and get someone that I really wanted in Trent McDuffie. And so I give it an A because phenomenal corner lockdown, one half of a spectacular duo at Washington this year with Kyler Gordon. Washington hasn't done much in football recently, but one thing they do is breed cornerbacks, man. They pump those guys out.
Marcus Peters.
Yeah, Marcus Peters comes to mind. And so, yeah, a great pick, Trent McDuffie. Chiefs also nailed this draft, man. They got a lot of good value guys. So I got this as an A.
Yeah, like that. And Oliver, by the way, who do you think was the last Pittsburgh QB drafted in the first round? You should know this one.
Pitt QB. Can I have a year?
Yeah, long time ago. 1997.
97?
Just kidding, not 97. Oh, whatever. It was Dan Marino, 1983. Sorry, give it away.
I didn't even know he went there.
Yeah. All right, back to Kansas City, as you were just talking about. I like this pick as well. I got it at A-. Trent McDuffie, this guy, 5'11", 193, little scrappy guy, but runs a 4.44, from Dana Point, California, I believe. And shout out Kansas City. I mean, this is a big move for them trading up. They lost Tyrann Mathieu. I believe they lost Dana Sorensen. I know they're both safeties, but still. And they also lost a corner. I think Tarvarius Moore was to the Ward to the Niners. So they definitely needed some secondary help. And this guy is phenomenal football IQ, He can play special teams for you. He can play defense. He's a gritty dude. He'll do what you want. And I love this pick. I think it's an A-. You know, he's just a little guy. Worries me injury-wise. But A-. I mean, it's a great pick. He's a clean fit in the Kansas City defense, and he's ready to show out and ball out. So, yeah, I like this pick.
Yeah.
And Washington is their 5th first-round pick in the past 6 drafts. That's pretty impressive. Some names that come to mind, let's try to go through. Vita Vea. Last year, they had Joe Tryon. Marcus Peters, of course. They had a quarterback, actually, a few years ago. Jake Locker, I think.
Yeah. Washington's sneaky. Vita Vea, did you already say that?
Yeah, Vita Vea. Markel Fultz.
Danny Shelton.
Oh, Danny Shelton. Yes, great pick by the Browns. That guy's a big guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, now we go to Green Bay. Another Georgia defender, Quay Walker. 6'4", 242, 452. Obviously, Nakobe Dean, a lot of people thought was a better player, but Quay Walker is definitely more pro-ready, in my opinion, than Nakobe Dean. 3rd of the 5 Georgia Bulldogs selected in the first round. I like this pick. I got it at an A-. I think Walker going before Devin Lloyd was a bit surprising, but scouts across the league felt like this guy was a better player. So, I mean, Quay Walker, this guy was on the best defense in all of college football. He's been going against the best talent in all of college football. I think it's a good pick. Or he's a good player. My only issue is actually I'm going to bump it down to a B+. How does this help Aaron Rodgers, really? They already have a solid D. I know they did lose to Darius Smith, but their defense, it was improved from that 2020 season. So I don't know if it necessarily is going to help the Packers right away. I don't think Aaron Rodgers loved it, but I think Quay Walker's a good pick.
Yeah, I don't hate this Quay Walker pick. I got it as a B. See the people complain about they didn't take a wide receiver, but they addressed defense first, which I don't mind, because if you look at who the next receiver off the board after this was,
there's a big drop off between the first 4 or 5.
And also the next receiver taken was by the Packers.
Right. Yeah.
Look at it was Christian Watson in the second round. So they got their wide receiver at the top of the second round. They traded up to get him. And
that's a good point.
Yeah. So there was no wide receivers taken after them that they missed out on or anything.
And the running backs suck too, and they have running backs. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I would have taken Devin Lloyd if I'm them perfect. Personally, I had Quay Walker as my number 3. No, I had him as number 4, actually. I had Christian Harris as my number 3. So, it's all right. Not the best value, but I don't mind addressing that defense. And then at number 23, Bills took Kaiir Elam, my number 5 corner. And
wow.
He was
Can you give me your top 5?
He was my number 6 corner.
What's your
Sauce, Stingley, McDuffie, Booth, McCreary, Elam. So
where's Stingley?
2.
Okay, you got Booth at 4.
What?
Oh, Andrew Booth did fall.
Booth and McCreary both went after Elam. So yeah, so not the best value. I'll give it a B- though. Elam's still a great player, ball hawk from Florida. So I don't mind the pick. Pair him with Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, I love this pair, Tre'Davious White and Kaiir Elam. I like this pick. I think it's an A. I mean, I think this guy is your ultimate ball hawk. He's not like Andrew Booth, where he's like a strong corner that can absolutely hit. I mean, I've never seen a guy like Andrew Booth that can tackle as well for a cornerback. But he had some medical issues, and he's not as good in coverage as Kaiir Elam, so he fell. In the NFL, we haven't corners that can hit. We don't really see as much. That's what the safety and everyone else does. So I think it's fine if your corner is a lockdown guy like Kaiir Elam, and I think he's going to ball out in Buffalo. He's been going against the best receivers in college football for the last 3 years, and that is so important when it comes down to this. I mean, I think Buffalo is going to win this gamble. Him and Tre'Davious White are going to be really solid. He'll stay healthy, and I like it. He's also the son of former NFL safety Abron Elam and the nephew of Matt Elam, current NFL safety. So good for him. He's in a family full of DB bloodline. So I'm sure he'll keep it up.
Yeah, good for Kaiir. Yeah.
At 24, we had a pretty interesting pick here. We have the Dallas Cowboys taking offensive tackle. I'm curious what you had him on your offensive tackle big board. But Tyler Smith from Tulsa, 6'5", 327, runs a 5.02. I have this at a D. I just didn't really see the point of drafting Tyler Smith this early. I thought other tackles available were honestly better at this point. And the Cowboys, they did need some help at the tackle. They even could have gone receiver, but your point about receivers, they're all gone. Just wasn't didn't think Tyler Smith was the right guy, but he's definitely a veteran guy. Played at Tulsa, which isn't awful, but definitely not the best competition. And there's talks of him getting pushed inside. Obviously there's already Tyron Smith that could help him develop, but I don't think this was necessarily the best pick and the best win now pick by the Cowboys.
Yeah, I have it as a D as well. And that's my big boy. He didn't even crack my radar, to be honest. I didn't do any research on him. So he did not crack my top 6. Which I only did 6 tackles. It depended on how deep the position was for how I ranked them.
Was Cole Strange in there?
Cole Strange I added, yeah. He was not originally on there, but now he's my interior offensive lineman 4. And so yeah, I have it as a D. I'll talk about him later, but the next guy picked is on the board. He's my interior offensive lineman 1. And if you're gonna move him inside, then take an interior offensive lineman and the best one on the board, in my opinion, the best one in the draft, in my opinion. So I don't really see the rationale behind it, but I feel bad for Tyler Smith because he's just getting crapped on, but he didn't do anything wrong, bro. Like he just got picked. So shout out to Tyler Smith. I hope he does really well.
Same goes for like Cole Strange. Like I actually am happy for the guy. It's pretty cool. It's not his fault that he was drafted. It's just not the best pick. It's not their fault though.
Yeah.
So who do you have? What do you have Linderbaum as? What letter?
Linderbaum have an A+, man. That's a guy who I could have thought could have gone in like the top 15, and it falls to 25 to the Ravens. Second A+ for the Ravens for me, just like the Giants. And yeah, very solid. You get my interior offensive lineman 1, great center. I thought it was cool how he beat Tristan Wirfs in wrestling. And yeah, I mean, just power guy, will stuff you up the middle. Big for this team that likes to run the ball.
Yeah, I love this pick as well. I also got an A+. I think Tyler Linderbaum is the best center in this draft, maybe the best center we've seen in a while. Can also play guard, actually. Played a little at Iowa. But he's 302, 6'2", obviously shorter because he's a center. But yeah, this guy's a beast, man. We saw, as you just said, he can tackle. I mean, he wrestled against Tristan Wirfs. Clear-cut top center in the class. I mean, I don't know if we've seen this much of a range within the top center and the second center. Everyone had him. Iowa, Midwestern, hey, Baylor guy. Just Iowa seems to be O-line U at this point. Not really, but kind of tight end U. I mean, they just keep getting these big guys year after year. And I love this pick for the Ravens. Definitely better than, like Ben Powers, who I think was running center for the Ravens. Or I think they had Makari of Patrick or something running. I don't know. But this is a great pick for the Ravens. They've struggled with center years after years, actually. I remember in the playoffs, the guy was snapping it over Lamar's head. So this is a perfect pick for them. Another great pick after Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, I agree.
At 26, the Jets had another pick. I think this is their third pick so far after Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. They took Jermaine Johnson, who was number 1 on the big board for a long time. So I have this as an A because similar to what we've seen in the last years with Kwity Paye falling or Gregory Rousseau, this was a best available edge spot, athletic guy. Ran a 4.58, 6'5", 260, just an enforcer. I love this fit in New York, especially given the earlier pick of Sauce Gardner. So it's an A for me. Perfect pick, athletic, best guy available, Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, give me back-to-back A+, please. Jermaine Johnson, insane value at number 26. A lot of people thought he'd go top 10. He falls to the Jets' lap, their third A of the day for me. They win the first round, in my opinion. I can say that now, along with the Ravens and the Giants behind them. But yeah, to have 3 picks and hit on all of them is big for Joe Douglas and them Giants. He did a great job at the GM spot. And so, yeah, I mean, great pick for Jermaine Johnson, just based solely on that value.
Led the ACC with 12 sacks.
Yeah. At number 27, Devin Lloyd gets taken. Another guy I wanted the Patriots to take. I got this as a B+. I really like Devin Lloyd. I just feel like, again, not Devin Lloyd's fault, just not the best pick for the Jaguars because that is not where they needed to go necessarily. Linebacker. I mean, they went, I guess they didn't know this at the time, but they went linebacker later in the draft. And they also signed, I don't want to butcher his name, but the guy from the Falcons earlier in the year who led the league in tackles and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know if linebackers are biggest need, but Devin Lloyd's an athletic freak and he'll be a stud.
Yeah, Devin Lloyd is one of the best linebackers in this class, in my opinion. So I actually like this as an A just because it's best player available. I know it's not the best pick for the Jaguars in their certain case, but I think Devin Lloyd at the time was a must pick. And if you see Lloyd slipping all the way to 27, you got to hit that right now because he was the best defensive player in the Pac-12 by far last year. So Devin Lloyd, great pick. I mean, your Pats, you want him. I think he was better than Quay Walker just by a little bit. So yeah, Lloyd slipped to 27. You got to make him pay if you're the Jags. I like this pick. It's an A for me. Solid defensive front seven there with Devin Lloyd, Josh Allen, and Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, very solid front seven there now.
At 28, or is it me? No, it's me. At 28, the Green Bay Packers took another Georgia defensive player, Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt, a third guy on that front four that's already gone in the first round.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't as big of a fan as Devontae Wyatt as, Trayvon Walker and Davis. So I actually like this as a B plus. Honestly worse. I like this as a C because I don't think the Packers needed to go defense again after they already went defense, so wasn't the biggest fan of Devontae Wyatt here. Like go 0 at that point. They could even have gone offensive line. I mean, it struggled there in the past. And they also signed Kenny Clark this offseason. So the Packers really did not need to take Devontae Wyatt, in my opinion. I think he's a solid player, but definitely wasn't the best pick for the Packers. So it's a C for me. I know a lot of people love this pick, but I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I got a C plus. I agree with you completely. I think if you have 2 first-round picks, you gotta balance it out. Go 1 offense, 1 defense. And yeah, I mean it's all right, but good player, obviously. But yeah, just not the biggest need for the Packers right there. So I don't have much to say to that, but just C plus. I think you hit it on the wire there. 29. New England Patriots select Cole Strange. Call me biased. I got it as a B. Yes, was it a reach? Absolutely. Is it a guy that's going to start and make an impact right away? Absolutely. Dominated the Senior Bowl, had a better win rate on the one-on-ones than Zion Johnson, who went 17 overall. And he's a 5-year guy at Chattanooga. He was a team captain. And yeah, it was a bit of a reach. Could have got him in the second, but you don't know that because Bill Belichick said that he thought Cole was going to go off the board any second after that. So we have that. I got it as a B. Casey's probably going to give him an F just because he wants to be contrarian, but yeah.
1 year ago today, ladies and gentlemen, I gave Peyton Turner an F plus. 1 year later, I give Cole Strange a D minus. Not quite as bad as Peyton Turner. I think Cole Strange is a great player. Everything you said is completely right. I think he's actually a really underrated pick. Maybe in the 4th round. I mean, nobody was going to take this guy in the 1st round, the 2nd round, or the 3rd round. Sean McVay was looking at this guy. I literally watched Sean McVay, the best coach out there, was looking to take this guy in the 100s. They could have traded down, and down again and still got Cole Strange. It was just pointless. I mean, this guy is a really solid player. Everything you said, I'm 100% serious. Unlike Peyton Turner, I actually think Cole Strange is a really solid sleeper pick. I think this guy is going to start and make a difference. It's just you could have got him later, and you could have taken someone that would help your defense, which did not have a single stop on the Buffalo Bills, mind you, in the playoffs. Not one stop. First time ever. They scored every single time they had the ball, the Buffalo Bills. And you guys did not do one thing in the 1st round to help that defense. You took Cole Strange, who you could have gotten in the 4th round. Once again, shout out Cole Strange. Good for him. I actually think this is a good pick, and he will impact the offense in a positive way. So at least there's exponential growth going on in New England. But for the defense, this was just pointless when you got guys like Nakobe Dean, who did fall, and Andrew Booth, who did fall. If Devin Lloyd was still there, I'd be really curious if Devin Lloyd was picked or if they still went with a guy like Cole Strange.
Yeah, I wanted Andrew Booth at that point, but, offensive line was a need as well. James Ferentz would have started at right guard had we not taken Cole Strange. So losing Shaq Mason, we needed some guy to replace him with, and Cole Strange was that guy.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I actually do think he's going to start once again. He'll be good. It's just a reach.
It's a reach. I agree.
He was definitely not watching the draft either. He was probably just driving in his car, sleeping, and he got 7 calls from a Foxborough number and he's like, what? I was looking forward to watching with my family on Saturday, but yeah. George Karlaftis, the Purdue guy, the edge, goes at 30. And I thought this was a solid pick. I think there's a B. I'm going to go A-. I think George Karlaftis, very athletic cat. I mean, 263, 6'4". I mean, come on now. He runs a 4.78. I think this guy's going to be an absolute beast off the edge in Kansas City. You know, I think they had a really solid draft, actually, Kansas City. Underrated draft.
They
People
really
don't talk
did.
about that enough. You know,
They got Sky Moore in the second too.
they took George Karlaftis, obviously. And then as we just talked about earlier, it took McDuffie. So they helped the defensive secondary, and then they also helped the front seven. So I like this Chiefs defense that has struggled in the past. All right, so that's an A-, George Karlaftis. What do you think about this? And by the way, you know, it's kind of interesting. I was actually going to say this is a player comp, but we'll ask you, who was the last Purdue player to be selected in the first round?
I was gonna say Rondale Moore, but he didn't go first round. Last Purdue player. It's a good question. I don't know.
Ryan Kerrigan.
Oh, really? That's a while ago.
Yeah, 2011. So, yeah, George Karlaftis. I actually really like this pick. I think it's an A, actually.
Yeah, I gave it an A. Super good value. This is a guy mocked going top 10 a few months ago. Has athletic traits, showed production, big guy. I mean, everything you want in the defensive end, and you get him at pick number 30 as your second pick. Again, they didn't address offense, but they got a really good wide receiver in round 2, so it didn't even matter.
Yeah, they did lose
so
Tyreek Hill, but there's no receiver they needed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then Bengals take Dax Hill, 31. I got this as an A-. I thought he was the best safety available, but safety I don't think was their number one need, to be frank with you. So I thought he could have gone elsewhere, but it's not a bad pick at all. Dax Hill's a freak, man. He can play all over that defense.
Yeah. Hill has, you know, the ability to be a really solid pair of Jesse Bates. So I like this. I think they're very different safeties, and they're going to complement each other perfectly. I think it's an A, honestly. I really like this pick. I was a big Dax Hill guy. Honestly, my second safety in this class, maybe one, if you can make a case for it, but he's 6 foot. No, he's not one. He's Hamilton's better. But 6'1", 190, 4.38, that is speed right there. I mean, if this guy played full against Georgia, it could have been a different game, I'm telling you. Big Dax Hill guy, as I've already said. But Jesse Bates is that, you know, strong safety that can hit, that can tackle. This guy is a great free safety that can cover the entire field and play center field for you. It's the perfect pick. You know, had 8 pass breakups in 2021, which isn't that much, but he had big time injury issues all year. Younger brother, Ravens running back Justin Hill. So good for him. Pretty interesting. His younger brother was in the NFL before him, though.
Yeah. What? Okay. And at 32, we got Lewis Cine, the 5th and final Georgia defender, go off the board. And I got this as a C+. I like Lewis Cine. He is my number 3 safety. They did go in the exact order as I had them. I had a top 6 of Kyle Hamilton, Dax Hill, Lewis Cine, Petrie, Jaquan Brisker, and Nick Cross. And yeah, so 3 of those guys went first round. Lewis Cine capping off this first round. To the Minnesota Vikings, and Minnesota Vikings had an interesting draft. I like this pick. I just don't love the value of it at 32. I think he's a second round guy in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the Vikings could have gone with someone else. You know, they traded down, then they ended up going to Cine, which is a good player from a really good team. But I have this as a D. I just don't think it was really necessary. They already have Harrison Smith as a really solid safety, and I think they could have gone some other places. I mean, there's a lot of places they could have gone. You had a few receivers that could be first round guys, a lot of offensive linemen, and then, I mean, the linebackers that were apparent there, and even DBs. If you want to go DB, Andrew Booth, you could have gone. I think they need corner more than safety, honestly. But just Lewis Cine, I really don't think is that good of a player as well. That's why I have it at a D. I think that their front seven was so good that being a safety on Georgia last year was not too difficult. And Keely Ringo was the best player in that secondary. Obviously, he's too young to be in that draft. So Lewis Cine, not the biggest fan of. Honestly, I think Elijah Hicks from Cal is the better safety than him. He's the 3rd best safety in the draft for me after Kyle Hamilton, Dax Hill, then goes Elijah Hicks. And it's not even close.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that was a long one, but I mean, we'll get a little more input just now with our biggest sleepers. So we're gonna give our first round bust, who we think is most likely bust from the first round. and then late round steal. And I'll throw out a couple names just because I have a few lingering. So bust. This is tough because a lot of these players, but I'm gonna go Drake London. And I think he could just not be good. I don't know who's throwing him the ball. He has the traits, but like I said, these big wide receivers don't always pan out. You
Desmond
get the
Ridder.
occasional like Mike Williams, Mike Evans, but a lot of these guys like JJ Arcega-Whiteside, they just can't find separation, and they're used to like these receivers who they can just catch or DBs who can they just catch the ball over, but that doesn't fly in the NFL, man. And Drake London does have good speed for his size, but I think he's gonna be a great player. I'm just saying that's my pick. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I got two receivers that I don't think will be very good. Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams. But I'm gonna focus on Garrett Wilson. I don't think Garrett Wilson is going to break 1,000 yards this year. I said the exact same thing with Kadarius Toney last year. He did not break 1,000 yards. So if he does break 1,000 yards, Oliver will shove a pie in my face on CO Sports Docs. That's my hot take. I said it with Kadarius Toney. I'm saying with Garrett Wilson, I think he'll get injured or something. And Jameson Williams, no bet with him, but I don't think he'll be that good. No hate on them either. I hope I'm wrong.
Okay, that's fair. And then my steal, I'm gonna give a quick early round steal. Is Andrew Booth Jr. He should have gone first round, went 42nd overall. Vikings, great pick there. But now to my main steal after Bailey Zappi, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's Calvin Austin, the third wide receiver from Memphis. This dude has elite speed, ran in the 4.3s, and can take the top of a defense and has outstanding hands. Runs super fluidly. Should have been a more highly touted prospect in my opinion. And Steelers just know how to draft wide receivers, man. They already got George Pickens in this draft. They had an outstanding wide receiver draft. And to get a guy like Calvin Austin was big. And let me quickly shout out Darian Kendrick, too. Rams got him in the 6th. Great corner for this Georgia team. Was great in the national championship game and the game before that. So 6th round probably won't pan out too much because he's 6th rounder, but just in case he does, Darian Kendrick.
Yeah. Steals the draft for me with Matt Corral to the Panthers. You know, in my opinion, many people made debates that Matt Corral was one of the best QBs in this draft. And they got to wait long, I believe to the 4th round, all the way to get Matt Corral. I mean, that's a steal. And many people think Matt Corral's the best. The Panthers needed a QB. They got to wait till the 4th round, and they took a guy that, was one of the top 3 QBs in this draft. Sam Howell, you can say the same with the Washington football team, and he was all the way in the 5th round. So I like both those steals, both good picks for them because they both needed quarterbacks. Another one is Elijah Hicks, 7th round pick to the Bears. Dude, this guy will do it all for you. He can play special teams. He can play defense. He was he was in, I think, Lake Tahoe in his draft video. This guy, he's going to be a ball hawk, and the Chicago Bears, I think he'll make the team for sure. Chase Garbers, total steal, undrafted free agents by the Raiders. This guy is going to be their backup QB, no question. He's going to be Derek Carr's backup in the 2022 season. This guy, total steal, 100% will make the 53-man. Also, Cameron Good, 7th round pick out of Cal. Great pick.
It's getting ridiculous.
Totally will make the 53-man for the Miami Dolphins. And last but not least,
Thomas Booker.
Trayvon Clark, wide receiver out of Cal, signed with the undrafted free agent for the Baltimore Ravens. Totally will make the team. I mean, the Ravens, they need a wide receiver after trading Marquise Brown. Totally will make the team. You could even say the same for Jake Tonjes, tight end out of Cal, or
All right,
wide receiver out of Cal, Keoko.
Cut this out. Thomas Booker, defensive tackle from Stanford, 4th round of the Texans will be good.
That's actually a not bad pick. I'm not even kidding. That was a good pick.
Yeah.
Thomas Booker's a good player.
Yeah. Only
Stanford
Stanford
one
player
guy drafted Cal too.
Yeah. Okay. That'll do it for our draft coverage, man. That was fun.
It was
Awesome.
another fun year of that. It's fun looking back to watch our video from last year. I think my steals was Ian Book and
Mine was Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown and Paulson Adiba. Those are really good choices.
Yeah, they were both really good.
Yeah. And we both didn't give the best grade to Micah Parsons. So yeah. And Jamar Chase, I think, was a good pick.
I think I gave him a C, yeah.
And Jamar Chase, I gave a bad grade as well. So.
To be fair, he wasn't the best pick at the time. And so yeah, Warriors picked a big win today. Giants lost 2 or 3 of the Nats, but with the minor league roster, don't think much of that. I don't really care about the Giants right now until they're healthy. And yeah, Warriors super exciting, 1-point win. And yeah, that will do it for episode 64. Unless you have any final words, that will conclude it.
I don't think so. It's definitely a long one, but it's very fun doing this, and I'm excited to do it the 2023 draft.
Yeah, if you could put a thumbs up on this one because
Yeah.
this took a lot of effort. All right,
A year ago, we thought Keaton Slovis and Sam Howell would be the first two, and look at that. So, yeah.
back.
All right. See you guys.
Peace.